If I had to pick one of my favorite breakfasts, it would definitely be an English muffin with a little bit of cheese, some eggs and ham, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Anyway, this is my favorite English muffin recipe. I've been working on this for quite some time, and it's nice and fluffy. Oh look, there's an air hole, you can even see it. And you don't even need a fork to open them. You can open them just like you would from the containers at the store. This is what I was going for, the actual English muffins that you get at the store. Watch this. There we go. I didn't even need to use a fork. It is fluffy, it is light, we've got nooks and crannies, and they're just perfect. Let's get started. Come on in my kitchen. So something about me is I like to get things perfect, and if I don't do it, I don't share it, and I need to really work on that. So what I'm doing here is showing you my process, because I find that not many of you know what goes into a recipe, but when I'm doing it, I test the recipe at least 3 times, and then I also like to make sure that people can use the accurate measurements, especially when it comes to baking and measuring things with cups and grams. So I make sure I have it all done. I also made sure this recipe would work in a Ankerstrom, but also a KitchenAid mixer. Now the KitchenAid mixer, I love my KitchenAid mixer. It's great for making cookies, cakes, buttercreams, things like that, but it's not the greatest for dough. And I found that even doing 5 minutes in my KitchenAid mixer, it really stresses it out. You're supposed to do no more than 2 minutes at speed 2, and then I needed to go to probably at least 10 in my KitchenAid, but I did 5, and it was, it was delicious. But the thing is, I did 10 minutes in my Ankerstrom mixer, and not only did they come out fluffier, they were just another level up, and I already thought these were a 10, so these brought them to a really solid 10. It's a delicious recipe, and while I'm mixing in my KitchenAid mixer, I am going to be honest, I'm scared that thing's going to fall off the counter sometimes, but with my Ankerstrom mixer, I can let it just do its thing. I'm wondering if like the Nutrimil, or I think, what is the other one, the Bosch mixer, they're both bottom driven mixers, you can just be hands off as well. That's what I really like about the Ankerstrom, because it was 10 minutes and I just let it do its thing while I was snacking away, and it really kneads my dough beautifully, almost like it's doing it by hand. And no, I'm not saying you need to buy an Ankerstrom, but I am saying you have to be really careful with your KitchenAid mixer. I don't want to break my KitchenAid mixer because I love my KitchenAid mixer, again, for all of those other things other than dough, but it's just not good for dough, and it's a great machine, just not good for dough anymore. And I can get this to enough of a window pane and enough elasticity that I want with my dough, and the gluten development is beautiful. I do like to pick it up and give it a little bit of a little stretch. As you'll see, I kind of make it into a ball, almost like if I was making it into a pizza dough ball. I just like to give it a few more stretches just to really feel it. And as you can see, it's not sticking to my hands in a sense that there's dough all over my hands, but it is sticky, if that makes sense. You'll see it comes right off my fingers, but it does stick a little bit. And I'm not greasing my bowl. What I do is use the same bowl that I mixed it in. And now you could use a clean bowl and grease it if you want, but I do not want to add any more moisture to my dough. So this works for me, and I don't want to clean another bowl. So again, yes, this works for me, and it comes off easily. I let it rise for an hour. And when I say that I've made this more than once, I've made it a bunch of times, and I've kept testing it and making sure I got the recipe right. I even got to the point where I was even going ahead and measuring the dough balls, and I felt like, you know what, it's just an extra step. And I was even cutting them, rolling it out, another extra step, and I just wanted these to be easy. So it's been an hour. What I like to do now, this is my final recipe, and this is how we do it. I like to take it out of the bowl, get as much as you can out of it. It doesn't stick too much. I'm basically getting most of it out there, and you can, again, grease the bowl if you want, but I don't find it's necessary. And I put it onto a clean and dry countertop. There's no flour on it. I try to take a little bit of the air bubbles out, so kind of deflate the dough. This way it's not as air filled. And then, like I would make my dinner rolls, I just go ahead and pinch off a portion, roll it in my palm, and then flatten it out. Now, once they're formed, I'm going to put them onto a baking sheet, which I lined with parchment paper, and I also have some cornmeal, but you could also use some semolina. And then we're just going to make sure that these rise one more time. So I'm going to cover them. You can do a damp cloth, or you can use some little bit of plastic wrap. Then we're gonna get our pan ready. Once those are risen after an hour, we like to let them rise again. So it's 1 hour rise when it's the dough, and then 1 hour rise once they're shaped. And then we're gonna put on a low fire. I'm on about 2 for my cast iron pan, and it's a power burner, so it's kind of like a medium low, so more slow towards the low. You don't want to overcook them, you don't want to burn them, but do make sure that you're covering them so they really get all of that heat in there and kind of bake in a sense. Then once they're nice and risen and puffy like this and then brown on the bottom, you're going to flip them and cook them again on both sides, 5 minutes each. And then we're going to again put that lid on so they get that really good heat in there. Then once they're done, you're going to take them and transfer them to a cooling rack, and then just repeat the process with all of your English muffins. Then you have your English muffins. You can do this ahead of time and even put the dough to rest in the fridge overnight if you want to make them fresh in the morning. But what I do is I honestly make these so often now, because if I have them in the house, they last, I want to say 2 days. But I make a bunch, I will double the batch and freeze some. They do freeze well, and they are just so good and so much better than store-bought. Now, don't get me wrong, you can use the fork, but as you can see, do you hear how, well, actually listen, do you hear how soft that is? I've seen some where people struggle to get it in. It just goes right in beautifully. And then we're just gonna take it apart again. And they're so soft, they're so fluffy. Oh. There they are. Super soft, and what I love about these is it's nice and airy with those nooks and crannies, but it doesn't taste like a biscuit. And I've tried quite a few recipes. While I was testing, I tried other recipes because I was just trying to make my own homemade English muffins at home. I didn't want to buy them from the store. I love that flavor, that texture. I don't want a biscuit. I like biscuits, but I don't want a breakfast biscuit. I want an English muffin breakfast sandwich. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. I want to thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Take care and God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.